All right, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, I get to talk about one of the fighters I'm most excited about in the sport of boxing. That is Jaron Ennis, also Errol Spence, Shawn Porter, and Yordenis Ugas. Let's talk about all of that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. Before I get into the meat of the conversation though, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, share the video, and like the video. It goes a long way towards helping the channel, and it is greatly appreciated by myself. So I am always happy to do videos about Jaron Ennins and things that are said by other boxers about Jaron Ennins, because I think that this kid, Jaron Ennins, who's a welterweight out of Philadelphia, young kid. I don't believe he's over 23 years old. I think that this guy has all the talent necessary to be the best fighter in the world, to dominate the 147-pound division, to dominate the 154-pound division, and to dominate the 160-pound division. And I am not somebody that is just, really gets amped about young fighters a lot. I mean, not on this level. The other fighters that I have felt this way about, I felt this way about Floyd Mayweather Jr. when I was watching Floyd Mayweather Jr. back in the 90s, late 90s, when he was fighting guys like Diego Corrales, Angel Manfredi, Jose Luis Castillo. I felt the same energy and the same appreciation for Floyd Mayweather Jr. that I feel now for Jaron Ennins. Same thing that I felt for when I saw Errol Spence Jr. fight for the first time. I was like, man, this guy is very, very straightforward in the way that he's going about doing his business, but he is absolutely laying people out with his work ethic, right? So just guys that I think are major exceptional talents. Manny Pacquiao was the same way. I wasn't necessarily rooting for Manny Pacquiao because he was with Bob Arum, and they were just opposing him against Floyd Mayweather Jr., trying to use him as a counterweight against Floyd Mayweather Jr. But at the same time, Manny Pacquiao was just a tremendous talent, and you don't often see guys that come around with that level of talent. So for me right now, Jaron Ennis is that guy that has the ability to do that. So Errol Spence Jr. in this press conference that he had with Manny Pacquiao was asked about Jaron Ennis and what he thought about Jaron Ennis. And what he said about him basically jives with what I'm saying. And he said, man, the guy is very sharp. He's a very slick fighter. He can crack. He doesn't know for sure whether or not Jaron Ennis has a chin or not, because you haven't really seen the chin tested, because he's just so slick and he's so sharp that I'm telling you, the guy is absolutely dominating people in the ring and just mugging them, right? So I'm telling you, this guy, if he has the chin, this guy is the deal. And Errol Spence was also made a statement about where he thinks Jaron Ennis is right now in his career, and he said that he thinks that he could beat Shawn Porter right now. He said that he doesn't know, specifically he says, he doesn't know whether or not Jaron Ennis has a chin, but he's like, if he does, then yeah, he could beat Shawn Porter in a very, very tough fight. That's saying a lot, man, because that's pretty much putting him right where Errol Spence Jr. is. But Errol Spence Jr. is also acknowledging at the same time that a lot of the top guys are making excuses for not fighting Jaron Ennis. One of them was Keith Thurman. Well, Keith Thurman, because Keith Thurman acts like he still has a championship belt because he was saying that he doesn't even know who the kid is. If that's the kid that I'm thinking of, blah, blah, blah. And Shawn Porter said that, look, he said he just flat out ain't fighting Jaron Ennis, because and you should have seen the expression that was on Shawn Porter's face, because this might have been earlier this was like earlier in the year, man, maybe around the January, February time frame is when he might have said this. But when Shawn Porter was asked about Jaron Ennis, he just looked like, wow, no, I'm not fighting that young kid. He said, I'm going to let somebody else have to deal with that guy, because that guy is just way too much. And I'm telling you, way too much for Shawn Porter at that stage in his career. Now, note that I'm not saying that I don't think that Shawn Porter would fight him if the money was right and all that. But Shawn Porter's just saying, look, that young dog right there is something special. And hey, I've already fought, got my championships. He's won the IBF belt. He's won the WBC belt. You know, and he's probably doesn't have too many more years left in his career. So he's like, I don't know whether or not the risk reward is there for me. Because, you know, that's Jaron Ennins is the last guy you want to get old in the ring with. Because I'm telling you, this guy is coming like a wrecking ball for people, man. So how does, in this environment, how does Jaron Ennins actually get a championship belt? If you look at the rankings, he's ranked number 4 in the IBF, and he's ranked number 7 in the WBC. So ways that he might be able to get this fight is if he was able to get a fight with the number 1 guy in the IBF, whose name is Abukaraev. If you remember Abukaraev was supposed to be fighting, or was supposed to fight Sergey Lipinets, or something happened with the fights with Sergey Lipinets and Abukaraev, but Abukaraev and Sergey Lipinets are about on the same level right here. I think the matter of fact is Sergey Lipinets might be a tougher fight. But Abukaraev, if he can get a fight with Abukaraev and transplant him in the IBF rankings, then after Errol Spence Jr. is done, because Errol Spence Jr. has already said that if he can't get Terrence Crawford in his next fight, then he's going to move up. So he's only got one more fight left. If he's able to beat Manny Pacquiao, and then if he can get the fight with Terrence Crawford, then he'll take the fight with Terrence Crawford. But if he can't get the fight with Terrence Crawford, then he's going to be moving up in weight and go to 154 pounds. So Jaron Ennins will be there when the IBF belt becomes vacant, and the WBC when the WBC belt becomes vacant. The only issue is with him getting a Terrence Crawford fight is, oh my God, by the way, he's not in the WBA rankings. But if you look at the WBA rankings in the welterweight division right now, it will demonstrate to you what's wrong with the sport of boxing. Because there's literally nobody in the WBA rankings that people have ever heard of, and none of those guys should be considered top 10, except for maybe 1 or 2 guys in there should even be considered in the top 3. You have Shawn, you have Virgil Ortiz at number 1. No, that's the WBO ranking. But whatever the case is, the WBA ranking is very, very weak. If he wanted to enter into the WBA rankings, he could probably make a lot of tractions in the WBA and get the shot at Yordenis Ugas, because that's what Errol Spence Jr. said he should do. He's like, he's ready. Like now is to fight some of the top guys like Yordenis Ugas, like Shawn Porter, and get your title shot. And I'm telling you, if Yordenis Ugas fights Jaron Ennis, I think he's going to go to sleep. I think that is a night goodbye type of fight. And really, I'm telling you, if Jaron Ennis has a chin and can take a shot, Shawn Porter may get beat up and stopped. The kid is a very, very, very special fighter. And I'm telling you, just depending on what his chin is like and what the inside of him is like, because eventually you're going to get into a tough fight. But as Errol Spence Jr. has shown, when he gets into a tough fight, he keeps going. He's got the toughness to continue through the fight. Same thing with Floyd Mayweather Jr. Floyd Mayweather Jr. has been in tough fights before, specifically the first Jose Luis Castillo fight, where people thought he lost the fight, and then he came back and rematched. But that first fight was a very, very tough fight for him. So there is going to be times when guys, no matter how talented you are, you're going to run into somebody that's going to give you a tough fight, and and you're going to get your chin checked, and you're going to get your heart checked. And so we're waiting to see what happens when that occurs with Jaron Ennis. But as of right now, man, he looks like sky's the limit. Anyway, so that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think. And with that, I'm out. Peace.